Always remember, free doesn't mean cheap, and this year is filled with dozens of new free-to-play servants that are going to be accessible to everyone. Hello everyone, Soberoni of G&A Reviews here, bringing you another top 5 list. Today we'll be taking a look at the top 5 free-to-play servants that should be on your radar if you're looking to elevate your teams this year. We'll be going over what makes them so good and when they'll be expected to release. And for those of you who may not be familiar with what the term means, for the purposes of this video, free-to-play is going to be defined as free welfare servants that we get from completing events, as well as the new silver and bronze servants. With that said, if you're excited to see how good free can be, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and ring my bell so that you can catch all of my videos as they release, including the eventual spotlights that'll be going out for each of these servants. Now without further ado, let's start with number 5. Coming in at number 5, we have Gray, who will be releasing in April with the Case Files event. Gray is going to be the free 4-star servant that we receive for completing the event, and she is a rare AoE assassin. Now for those of you who've been playing FGO for a while, you'll know that AoE assassins aren't all that common, especially ones that can be used for farming. But thankfully, Gray has a strong niche as a farmer, thanks to her 20% NP charge on her 3rd skill, which is perfect for any kind of wave clear. But in addition to that, she also has a decent niche against undead enemies thanks to her 1st skill, which grants her a huge 100% damage buff against undead enemies. Now there aren't all that many enemies who have the undead trait, but it does come in handy if Gray is farming skeletons or zombies. Aside from her farming capabilities, Gray can also perform a small role as a buster and quick support thanks to the overcharge effect on her Noble Phantasm. Her Noble Phantasm lowers the quick and buster resist of all enemies between 20 and 40%, which can buff the team's overall damage by a sizable amount. On the downside though, in order to obtain Gray, you need to have completed Lost Belt 3 so that you can participate in the Case Files event, and outside of her wave clearing capabilities, she is a little low in her versatility. But still, she is an excellent pickup for anyone who's lacking an AoE farming assassin. Moving away from farming, at number 4 we have Kagetora, a 4-star Lancer who's capable of some big single target damage. Kagetora will be releasing in July with the Guda Guda 4 event, and just like with Gray, she is going to be the welfare servant that we receive for completing that event. Thankfully though, unlike with Gray, anyone can participate in Guda 4 so long as you've cleared Fuyuki, which makes Kagetora much easier to obtain for newer players. Kagetora is an Arts Lancer who boasts some of the highest single target damage in her class. Thanks to her high hit counts, her NP gain, and her arts buff, she's also capable of NP spamming, which makes her especially good against bosses with multiple HP bars. She can also perform a good role as a semi-support in some crit teams thanks to her 3rd skill, which gives the party increased attack as well as increased star generating and crit damage for 3 turns. And she can also bring some utility to the team by using her Noble Phantasm to remove all of the enemy's offensive buffs. On the downside though, she does suffer from longer than average cooldowns due to the short 1-turn uptime on most of her skills. However, this doesn't deter her from being one of the strongest single target Lancers around and one of your best options available if you want a good boss killer. But you'd be wrong to think that this year is all about power. At number 3, we have one of the best supports in the game with Asclepius. He'll be releasing in June with Lost Belt 4. Asclepius is a 3-star caster who provides some of the best healing and overall support in the game. Between his 1st skill and his Noble Phantasm, his healing is basically on par with Media Lily, as he's able to heal a single target for 5,000 HP, as well as heal the entire party for up to 3,000 HP every turn for 3 turns. But healing isn't the only thing that he's great at. Asclepius can make for a great addition to any kind of challenge quest or boss fight due to his sheer range of utility. His Noble Phantasm provides guts and debuff immunity to the entire party, and his 2nd skill is able to NP seal an enemy, which is perfect for all kinds of stalling. And finally, he can also work as an NP battery, as he has a direct 20% NP charge for an ally, as well as the ability to increase the party's NP gain by 30% percent for 3 turns. All of this tremendous support does come at a cost though, as Asclepius does have some extraordinarily long cooldowns. Asclepius does have another downside in that he's a story-locked servant, so your best chance to get him is to roll for him when he appears on Raid Up in Arjuna Altar's banner. Thankfully though, you do not need to clear Lost Belt 4 in order to roll him so long as he's on Raid Up. So even new players do have a chance at getting him, and I highly recommend that you do because he provides some of the best healing and NP support in the game. This year, NA is going to be blessed with not one, but 2 amazing arts DPS. At number 2, we have Saber Hokusai, who will be the free welfare servant releasing in August with Summer 4. Much like Kagetora, Saber Hokusai is capable of some insanely strong DPS due to her incredibly powerful Noble Phantasm. She also has an NP charge and arts buff of her own, so it's very easy for her to NP spam as well. But in addition to that great NP damage and NP spam capability, she's also one of the best crit DPSs around as well. Her third skill grants her a 20% buff to crit damage every time she lands an attack, and this buff stacks, so she's easily able to reach upwards of 100% crit damage. Not only that, but she's also capable of providing her own crit stars thanks to her very high hit counts and the star bomb on her first skill. Saber Hokusai is incredibly self-sufficient and in many cases is kind of like a better Saber Lancelot. She does suffer from long cooldowns like many of the other entries on this list, and she can be a bit over-reliant on stacking her crit buffs to do damage, but simply put, you'll never find a better free DPS. In fact, she puts many limited 5-star servants to shame. Coming in at number 1, who else could it be but Chen Gong? Chen Gong will be releasing with the 4th anniversary event in July. He is a 2-star caster who is going to be available to everyone in the friend point gacha, so make sure you start saving those friend points now, because he's definitely a servant that you're going to want to get to NP5. Trying to summarize all of the amazing things that Chen Gong can do for the team is very difficult, but first and foremost, he has an incredibly diverse and powerful skill set that even includes a mini version of Waver's defense skill. His second skill, Advice of the Strategist, increases the party's defense as well as provides them with a damage cut and even charges their Noble Phantasm by 10%. This skill is incredibly strong when combined with other stall servants like Mosh and Leonidas. But believe it or not, that's not even his best skill. His best skill is his third skill, Desire of a Strategist. This skill provides a targetable 50% buster buff for an ally, and if used on a Berserker servant, it even increases their crit damage by 100% and their maximum HP by 3000. This is a criminally powerful skill for Buster servants, and it's absolutely broken when being used on Berserkers. All of Chen Gong's cooldowns are also pretty low, which means he can abuse these skills at will. But even putting his incredible skills aside, what Chen Gong is most useful for is his insane NP damage. Basically, Chen Gong is like a better Arash in that he does an insane amount of damage to all enemies with his Noble Phantasm, but instead of killing himself, he kills an ally. This basically allows you to swap in allies from your back row after using Chen Gong's Noble Phantasm. So you can use a support to buff Chen Gong's damage and NP gauge, then kill them to swap in another support, which makes him very powerful for farming setups. There really aren't any downsides to Chen Gong, he simply is one of the best casters in the game, and I highly recommend that everyone start saving their friend points now. And those are my thoughts on the top 5 upcoming free-to-play servants for this year. As always, these are just my opinions. There are a ton of amazing free-to-play servants coming out this year, so do let me know who you're most looking forward to in the comments down below. If you haven't already, do also check out my top 10 servants list, which goes over the 4-star and 5-star servants coming out this year as well. I'll link that in the description down below. And if you enjoyed this video, please do be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you really enjoyed the video. Join the party over on our Discord, follow us on Twitch, and follow us on Twitter. And I'll see you all in the next servant spotlight or guide video. Soberoni out. Later.